Well, thank you for joining us on today's Ask the Mayor program. We're on location at Fairplay Middle School, and soon these chairs behind me will all be filled with students. They're going to ask some questions today that I know will be very important to all of us. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Marcia Hampton, Community and Downtown Services Director with the City of Douglasville, and today we're here with Mayor Thompson and some of the students from Fairplay Middle School, and we're going to have a mini town hall meeting where some of these students from the Language Arts program here at Fairplay will be able to ask the mayor some questions, and we are very excited to hear some of the answers and some of the questions that the students will pose. And we'll just start right up and start off with question number one. And question number one comes from Miss Danny Calvacante. And hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. All right.
Hi, my name is Danny Calvacante, and my question is, why don't mayors help decide school rules and school subjects?
Well, that's a very good question, and I know you wonder that because in some cities, actually there are city school systems, and the city government and the mayor, they're involved to some degree in policy setting in the schools. In Douglas County, we have a county-wide school system, a unified school system, which incorporates the city of Douglasville and the unincorporated part of Douglas County and a part of actually the city of Villarica. And so it's not a city school and it's not a county school, it's a combined school that is all the policies and the rules and regulations on how the school operates falls under the jurisdiction of the County Board of Education. That's another elected body with a superintendent and a chairman of the board and various school members, board members, that are elected from various geographical areas around the county. So the reason mayors don't have a role is because it doesn't fall under our jurisdiction. It's under the jurisdiction of the Douglas County Board of Education.
All right, very good question, Danny. Our next question comes from Mr. Gibson Bullock.
Hi, my name is Gibson Bullock. My question is, how do you decide where the city limits begin and end?
Well, Gibson, I know probably the reason you asked that question is you look at the boundaries of the city of Douglasville. And oftentimes you'll see a city that if you draw a circle, everything is inside that city, or inside that circle is inside the city. The city of Douglasville and a lot of cities in the state of Georgia don't follow that geographical boundary of a circle. And Douglasville is a good example of that. And for example, the city of Douglasville, the downtown area that you're probably very familiar with there, where the plaza and the fountain and everything, that's the older part of the city of Douglasville when Douglasville was first incorporated in the late 1800s. But since then, the city has actually grown tremendously, and the city limits go all the way on the east side, well, actually go down to Thornton Road. So if you go down I-20 like going into Atlanta for 15 miles, you're still in the city of Douglasville. But the answer to your question on how the boundaries are established, they are established through annexation. If you're a property owner and you decide that you would like for your property to be inside the city of Douglasville, the first thing that is required is you must be contiguous, which means your property must touch another piece of property that's inside the city, and you apply for annexation, and if the Douglasville City Council approves your annexation, then the boundaries of the city of Douglasville are extended up to your property. And if your neighbor decides he or she might want to annex, and the city council approves that, then it's extended again. So the city grows and the boundaries are changed through annexation. Very good question.
Now our next question comes from actually a very special student, Mr. Barrett Talent. And Mr. Talent actually won a contest from the Georgia Municipal Association as the sixth grader who did the best essay in our district for If I Were Mayor. So this is a very special student, and I'm pretty certain he has a special question.
My name is Barrett Talent, and my question is, if you could make 2 improvements in Douglasville, what would they be?
Well, Barrett, before I answer your question, let me again say congratulations. You had a very, very good essay, and some things that we actually can use in the city of Douglasville. And I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And you were the winner in District 3, and of course you received your award in Atlanta, and that was quite a tribute to you, and thank you very much for doing that. And your question was?
If you could make 2 improvements in Douglasville, what would they be?
Well, actually, one of the most important things to any city is a base of employment. The city of Douglasville, a lot of people who live in the city of Douglasville commute into Atlanta or commute somewhere else. If I could change that just by waving a magic wand, which never happens, but if you could change one thing, it would be the ability to attract larger companies that have good paying jobs that would locate close in so that your parents and others who live in the city would not have to commute and would have a greater choice on where they worked, an employment base. And of course, if I was designing that ideal employment base, it would be one that, first of all, had very, very good paying jobs and had good employee benefits for you and your family. The other thing that if I was designing an ideal city or had 2 things that I could change, it would be improving the educational opportunities. Unfortunately, here in the city of Douglasville, we don't have a college. We don't have a 4-year college or a 2-year college. Now, we do have a very, very good school system in West Central Technical School. They provide a tremendous benefit to our community. And actually, they have a program that's starting now. If you're a high school senior and you go to school at West Central, a part of the year that you're a senior, you can actually graduate from high school and West Central Technical College at the same time and walk out and get a job almost on day one. But my ideal city would be one that had additional educational opportunities. And we're working on that. I actually had a meeting this morning with the folks from the Board of Regents downtown and the folks from Georgia Highlands College, and we're working with them to try to bring Georgia Highlands into the city of Douglasville, and the opportunity looks real good. We think we're going to be able to do that. So those are 2 things that I would change if I could. Thank you for asking.
I would like to recognize Ms. Overton and the other language arts students, and I would like to say thank you for allowing us to have this town hall meeting. And because of Ms. Overton's support, Barrett was able to submit his essay to GMA and then go on to be the winner. So I would like to thank the teachers who kind of helped set this up today. Question number 5 comes from Ms. Mallory Pollock.
My name is Mallory Pollock, and my question is, did you want to be a mayor as a kid?
Well, the answer is no. I can tell you how I actually became mayor. Years ago, we lived, when I say we, our family, I have one daughter, and we lived in the unincorporated area of Douglas County. And from time to time, I would look at various events and various decisions that were made by the elected officials and would either comment about it, and I guess sometimes even complain about it. And in the early 90s, we actually moved from the unincorporated area of Douglas County into the city of Douglasville. And of course, I continued to keep up with our county government and our city government. And I don't remember what the article was, but I was reading an article in the newspaper, and I had some comments about it. And my daughter, she was probably about 6 or 7 years old at that time, she said, "Dad, you know, you have a lot of comments and opinions about our government. Why don't you run for elected office?" So it was really a challenge. I mean, from a young, very young person who had heard me and seen me have comments and suggestions even internally in our family how things maybe could be done differently to improve our community. And so I did. I took her challenge and I ran for Ward 5 City Council, which is in the city of Douglasville. It's pretty well everything in the city that's south of I-20 in the mall area. And actually one of my first decisions after being elected, well, first of all, I thought, you know, this is going to be pretty easy. You go to 4 meetings a month and you always know what the citizens want you to do, and you can always make the right decision. But it's a little bit more difficult than that. One of the first decisions I had to make, and I was a swing vote on whether the mall was going to come or not. We have a 7-member city council, and 4 members of the city council can actually pass legislation and approve things. And there were 3 people that were in favor of the mall coming, and 3 people who were not in favor of the mall coming. So I was a new guy, new kid on the block, if you want to look at it that way. And that was a very, very difficult decision because not everyone in our community, especially those who lived very close to the mall, were in favor of a large regional mall. And not knowing how the citizens really wanted me to vote, I did a poll. Delivered a little card, a little 3x5 card like many of you have today with your questions on it, and distributed that, hand-delivered it to each home in my ward and asked them the question, are you in favor of it or are you not in favor of it? Got those back. It was about 55% of the people who lived in my district or my ward that were in favor of it. So that's how I voted. But, and really on a challenge from my daughter is how I ran for city council initially, and I served 1 term, it's a 4-year term, as a city council member for that ward, and I ran for mayor in 2000, and so I'm serving my 3rd term as mayor now. But thank you for asking.
Thanks, Mallory. Our next question comes from Ms. Michaela Talbot.
Hi, my name is Michaela Talbot, and my question is, what is the hardest part of your job?
Well, Ms. Talbot, there's some hard things, I'll be quite honest with you. It's really a hard decision to tell you what is the most difficult thing, but probably having to tell someone no, or having to tell someone that you can't do something. And my rule is always, if it's in the best interest of the city, then I'm in favor of it. If it's not in the best interest of our city, whether that's a friend or someone else, then it's hard to actually be in favor of that. So one of the hardest things is someone that maybe has helped you get elected, or someone you've known for an awful long time, or someone that lives in your neighborhood will ask you to do something. And you have to say, no, we really can't do that because it's not in the best interest of the majority of the people who live in our city. So of all the things that are difficult to do, I would say that's the most difficult thing.
Thank you, Mallory. Michaela. Our next question comes from Mr. Garrett Gibson.
Hi, my name is Garrett Gibson, and my question is, are you aware of neighborhoods that are not completely finished?
Well, Garrett, I wish I could say no, but because of the downturn in the economy and the tough times really that the city of Douglasville and Douglas County and really Georgia and every state in the union are going through now, we do have some subdivisions that are not completely built out. The city of Douglasville and Douglas County actually depended and still depends a great deal on the building industry. A lot of, and maybe some of your parents, are involved in the construction industry, building homes or even working in stores that provide materials and services for those who build homes. And there were a number of people who had actually applied for plats for subdivisions, and the city council approves those. And one of the first things that happens is they go in and they put the streets in and the water and the sewer and the electrical. And a lot of those were in process when the economy began to slow down. And it really has slowed down now. For example, we're getting very, very few actual permits to build new homes. Now, our commercial growth, you may have noticed, in and around the mall area, the retail growth has continued to do quite well in the city of Douglasville. But the residential growth has essentially stopped. And as a result of that, there are a number of subdivisions that are partially built out, or the infrastructure has been put in for those subdivisions, but no homes have been built on those. But that, we believe, over a period of time, and I'm certainly no economist and don't have any more information than anyone else, the TV commentators and the folks that you see on TV, about when the economy will recover. But if you look back in history, the economy does go through cycles. It oscillates up and down. And the economy will come back and we'll be prepared to again start building. And one of the things that unfortunately you have to do during those times, we have a number of people who work for the city of Douglasville, and their job is associated with growth. Building inspectors, plan review folks, and we really don't have much for them to do now. And unfortunately, people will begin to get laid off in that area or in those departments unless the growth comes back fairly quickly. But thank you.
All right, and our final question today comes from Miss Caitlin Garner.
My name is Caitlin Garner, and my question is there a home currently being built for abused and or abandoned animals other than a pound?
Well, I wish I could tell you yes. Let me tell you a little bit about how the animal control works in Douglas County. There are a number of services in Douglas County that are combined services. For example, we have a combined school system, and we just talked about that earlier, where there's not a separate school system for the city and for the county. We have a combined fire department. All the fire stations that you see around Douglas County are under the control of the County Board of Commissioners. And so although there are several fire stations in the city of Douglasville, they're not city stations and they're not county stations. It's a unified fire department. We have the same thing for animal control. We have one pound that's on the north side and actually is in the city of Douglasville, but it's a unified combined animal control program that again is handled by the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. But it can, actually they have jurisdiction and control in the city of Douglasville. And we only have the one pound. Now the Douglas County Board of Commissioners is planning to do a renovation on the animal control facility. One thing that the Douglasville City Council does above and beyond what the county government provides is we pay the salary and we purchase one of the trucks that's used to provide a little bit better service, animal control service, in the city of Douglasville. But there is no new facility that I'm aware of that's going to be built at this time. But thank you for asking.
All right, before we wrap up today, I want to thank the students for providing such great questions and those who participated, and also the teachers, and give the teachers a final say if there are a few words that you guys would like to say before we close out. Ms. Overton, we'll let you go first.
Well, I would just like to say thank you to the mayor for being willing to come out and answer possibly some tough questions from these future voters. They have really had a good time exploring some ideas for their essays, and we very much enjoyed this essay writing contest that most of these students participated in, and they wrote some very good essays, and hopefully we'll have some good ones for you next year as well, and we would love for you to come back.
Well, we look forward to that, and you're exactly right. They were extremely good essays, and we appreciate each student and all the teachers who took the time to actually prepare those, get those prepared, gather them up, send us to us. We do appreciate it.
I would just like to say thank you for coming, and thank you to all the students. You guys did a great job.
I also would like to say thank you to you as well as my fellow students. And I really appreciate the fact that at first they were kind of excited and a little bit nervous, but they took the time to come out here and speak with you today.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think that's all we got.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you for being here today also. Well, you know, everyone has, they don't have to, but I think it's a good idea to have interest outside what you do each and every day. You go to school every day. I work at City Hall every day. You guys teach every day. And it gets kind of boring doing all those things if you just do, if that's the only thing that you do. And I always think you have to have other interests. Those other interests, I think, keep you young. I mean, after you retire, you can't just go home and sit down. You need to have something that you enjoy doing. And I have a number of things that I enjoy doing. One of the things I always wanted to do, well, actually, when I was young, my career goal was to be a pilot. But I couldn't be a pilot. I didn't have 20/20 vision. And I was 45 years old before I learned how to fly an airplane. So, you know, if you just keep working on your goals and you are focused on what you want to do, eventually you'll be able to do it. You'll be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish. I wanted to be a racer. I wanted to be a car racer. You know, I'd watch these guys on TV and listen to them on the radio and those kind of things. And actually I started when I was 18 years old, driving at a local track. But you know, if you keep working at things, you'll finally be able to accomplish those. And if you've watched car racing on TV, you'll see racetracks like Daytona and Talladega and Charlotte and those places. And one of my dreams and one of my goals was actually to race there. And I've been able to do that. I drove a NASCAR for a number of years, but I never won a race at Daytona Speedway, which is the grandfather of all racetracks, until I was 62 years old. I was at Daytona last summer and actually won my first car race there. Actually, I won two back-to-back, set a track record at the same time. So there's nothing you can't accomplish if you just set your goals high and keep working toward those. Well, thank you for joining us today on Ask the Mayor. We certainly want to thank the teachers and the students here at Fairplay Middle School for taking the time out of their busy day to come together and ask some questions. And those were very, very good questions. I wish I had an answer of yes for all of those questions, but unfortunately I didn't. But I do appreciate you asking those questions. And those were very, very good questions and important questions to all of us that live in the city of Douglasville. So thank you again for joining us on today's program.